Okay, what's good? Welcome back, everyone. We are going to focus on glutes, core, and a little bit more in today's mat work. So you're not going to need anything else, just the mat and a little bit of space. Keep water close to you to stay hydrated. Remember to stay connected with the breath during this session. Stay connected with your center because we are working the core. It's about that spine stabilization. And if you ever feel like you lose that connection, then just take a breath, pause the video, and then just come back to it when you feel connected. But give yourself the space to accept your body where it's at today, and just know that perhaps there's some things that you may be asked to do in this workout that your body may not be happy to do. Just be at peace with it. There's always another day when you can revisit this and give it another go. So let's give this a whirl, shall we? We're going to be on the floor. Just checking for where my water is. And we're going to come into a side laying position. So this is a beautiful opportunity to grab a cushion or a mat. A cushion. I did say you don't need anything, but just for this, you can prop your head up. And we're coming into this stacked shoulders, hips, and knee position here. Hands are going to be placed on top of each other, fingertips together. And we're going to take a nice deep breath in and begin to float the arm as we circle it overhead, and exhale as we roll down onto our back, floating the arm down past our hips and fingertips back together. So we're going to do another 2 more on this side. And I want you to notice the rotation through the mid spine as you create this circle. And let's retrace, but in the opposite direction. So now we're going in the opposite direction, gives us a chance to really tune in to what our body feels like today. Last one. Beautiful. Let's roll over onto the other side. So for you, you might just turn on your mat to face the other way instead of flipping over to the other side. But if you've joined me, then come into side facing position. Nice deep breath in, circle the arm overhead. Twist through the spine, float the arm down, past the hips and back. 2 more times. And last one. And remember, we're going to change direction and retrace those circles. One more time. One side might feel good compared to the other. And I would like you to roll onto your back with your feet hip width apart. Engage the core, zip up the pelvis, and we're going to draw both thighs into our chest. Give yourself a little hug, lift the chest into the thigh, exhaling as you do. And then inhale, set the feet down on the ground, hands by your side, and exhale, lift through the hips as you come into a bridge. Inhale, roll down through the spine. Exhale, thighs into chest, chest into thighs. Inhale, roll down through the spine. Exhale, lift through the hips into bridge. Let's do it one more time. Inhale, roll down. Exhale, thighs to chest. Chest lifts to thighs. Inhale, roll down. Then exhale, lift through the hips. Gently squeeze in the buttocks and hold. So we're in our bridge pose now. Keep the hips nice and stable. And as we lift through one heel, the hips stay still. Alternate through your heel lifts. Let's warm up the lower legs, calf muscles. As you lift the heels, squeeze the calves. By shifting the weight through the heels, you're really challenging hip stability. Keep the core engaged so you're not feeling this through the lower back. And we're trying to keep the spine nice and stable, just warming up the back of the body for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Set both heels down on the ground and then slowly roll down through the spine. Feel each connection of the spine as you make your way down. And then bring the legs to tabletop, core engaged. I want you to raise the heels just a bit higher than the knees and keep your spine glued to the mat as you inhale, lower the thighs to the ground, tap, exhale to lift. Back to tabletop and lower and lift and lower, tap and lift. So it might be your heels or the toes that make contact with the mat. What you're focusing on is keeping that core engagement, lower back melted into the ground, and nice control through the breath. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Finishing in tabletop. Hold right here. Take a nice deep breath in, float the arms overhead. Keep the chest down, upper back melted against the ground. Exhale to bring the hands back down by your side. Let's do 2 more. Big extension through the arms, stretching through the fingertips. Last one. And we're going to finish with the fingertips pointing upwards, arms directly over the shoulders and chest. And we're going to take one leg and extend, opposite arm extends as well for bird dog. And draw back in, opposite side. And I want you to bring the arms back to that original start position before switching side to maintain that control. Let's do 2 more on each side. Last one. Bring it back to center. And then bring the thighs into chest. Gently decompress the lower back, rocking side to side or back and forth, whatever feels good to you. And then we're going to bring the legs back into tabletop, arms out by your side. Rolling the hips over to one side, looking over the opposite shoulder. Keep the back of the arms and shoulders on the ground. Draw the hips back to center and roll over to the other side. We're working into the obliques here. So you're drawing the belly button into your spine as you reset the hips down on the ground. Squeeze the thighs together. Let's move this mic out the way. There we go. And see if you can keep your position on the mats exactly where it was when you started. And if you notice that the back of the shoulders are lifting off the ground, perhaps you've taken the rotation too far, and just dress it back a little bit. 2 more on each side. Last one. Bringing the thighs and everything else back to center. Extend through the legs, arms reaching overhead. Nice big stretch, engage the core. And as you exhale, roll up. Keep the back of the legs glued to the mat, nice and tall. And then roll down through the spine, stretch. Inhale, roll up. Relax through the shoulders. Exhale, roll down. Float the arms overhead. Let's do 2 more. And final one. We're finishing in a seated position. One final spine stretch. and then roll up. Relax the shoulders down. Shake out the legs if you need to. So we're coming into a saw. So we're going to take the legs into this straddled position here. If this feels quite tight on the hips, then bend the knees, take that cushion from earlier. You can elevate your seated position just to take a bit of pressure off of the hips. So extending arms out to the side, relax through the shoulders. We're going to turn to the right leg and reach for the toes and then fold forwards. Rolling up through the spine, we're keeping both hip bones down on the ground, switch side over to the right. Reach for the toes. If you can reach past the toes, beautiful. If not, that's okay. We're going to do 2 more on each side. Twisting through the spine, exhale, and inhale. Last one. Roll up. Relax the shoulders. We're going to come into a modified reverse tabletop or reverse plank. So for this, we're going to bend one knee. Keep the foot flat on the ground, so we're drawing the heel into your buttocks. Bring the hands behind you, fingertips pointing towards your hips. Push down through the arms, draw the chest away, draw the shoulders away from the ears. Engage the core, take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, lift through the hips, pushing through that flat foot and the heel of the extended leg. Slowly roll down through the back of the leg, and then exhale to lift again. So push as hard as you can through both arms. Keep them nice and straight even as you set the hips back down. Last one. Slowly roll down. And then we're going to change side. So extend the original leg and slide the heel in of the other leg. Nice and flat, take a deep breath in, engage the core, and then lift through the hips on the exhale. Inhale, roll down. Feel the back of the calf, thigh, and then the buttocks meet the mat. Lift, squeezing the buttocks, and slowly float down. Final one. Nice and long spine. Roll down to finish off. Keep that balance, that control. And then we're going to change positions. So cross the legs over and come onto your hands and knees. So hands beneath the shoulders, fingers spread, gently gripping into the mat. Knees beneath the hips, about hip width apart. Engaging the core. We're going for some scapular shrugs. So your scapula are the flat muscles just on the top of your upper back. And what we're doing is we're sliding them in as though we're pulling shoulders back. And then we're going to slide them apart. So you're going to feel them glide in, squeezing together, and then gliding outwards. So in this tabletop position, I want you to push through both arms gently, lifting the chest away from the mat. You'll feel the shoulder blades glide apart. And then gently draw the chest down, gliding your scapula together, still pushing through the arms, nice and straight, core engage, and then press. Lower the chest, squeeze the scapula, and then press. So interchangeably, I'm calling it a scapula or the shoulder blades. I'm referring to exact same area in the upper back. Feel them slide inwards, squeezing, and then push. Feel it slide apart. We're going to do 2 more. Last one, big squeeze. And then pause right here. Take the knees off of the ground, coming into a hover. And we're going to do 3 more scapular shrugs. Floating the chest down towards the ground, squeezing the shoulder blades, and then pushing apart. Let them spread, create that space. Glide in and squeeze. Push away, create that space. Last one. Beautiful work. We're going to take this into a downward dog, lifting the hips up and back. Drawing the shoulders away from the ears. All 10 fingers spread, gripping into the mat. Drawing the tailbone to the back edge of the mat, lengthening through the back of the legs. And as you inhale, roll through the spine, set the knees down, and then come off of your hands for a moment and shake out your wrists. We're going to go into a forearm plank. So we're coming down onto the forearms, bring them just below the shoulders, and take the knees back behind the hips. So you can stay down on the hips here, down on the knees here. And if you are, then I want you to make sure your toes are grounded and your knees are hip width apart. Pushing through your forearms, lifting the chest away from the ground and gliding the shoulder blades apart. We're going to come off of the knees for those of you that would like the challenge. And we're going for hip dips, so the outer edge of the hips pivots towards the ground, tap, and then swings over. Imagine you're creating a rainbow. Tap. A nice arch through the hips. Now there's rotation through the spine here, but controlled. As we rotate into our obliques. And we're here for 10 more seconds. Rolling onto the outside edge of the feet. Draw the hips down to the ground and back up. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hips back to center and lift the hips up and back. Gently walk the feet in. Forearms stay down on the ground. So we're in this dolphin position. Grip into the mat with the fingertips. Push forearms down to the ground. Inhale, transition into your low plank. And exhale, lift hips up and back into dolphin. And roll forwards into plank. And final one, keep the core engaged. Shift back into dolphin. Walk the feet in just a little bit. And inhale back to plank. And then set the hips down, forehead to follow. Shake out the forearms, wrists, elbows if you need to. And reconnect with the breath. So your palms are facing down beside you. Walk your fingertips towards your toes. And zip up your feet and inner thighs. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lift head and chest off of the ground, drawing the palms back. We're pulsing the palms up, 2, 3, and then slowly rolling down through the spine. Exhale to lift, pulse, 2, 3, and rolling down on the inhale. So try to keep the shoulders away from the ears. So you're reaching the fingertips down towards the toes. And last one. Pause and hold. We're going to float the arms overhead and slowly lower the fingertips down to the ground and then lift. Big stretch. And then lower down to the ground. Keep the chest lifted off the ground a little bit more. Big stretch like a Superman and slowly float the arms down. Last one. Lift and hold and then float. Chest and arms down on the ground. Slide your forearms beneath your shoulders. Then shift hips off of the ground. Flex the feet as we come into down dog. Catch your breath. Reconnect with your center. Find that length through the spine. And then send a wave through the spine as you come into plank. Nice and slowly rounding the back and float the knees. And then chest and chin down to the ground. So a few more back extension movements and then we're going to switch over. So we're going to take the arms. I'm out of breath. That shows that we're really working hard here.
Gonna take the forehead down to the ground, extend the arms overhead, and then we're going to lift the thighs off of the ground, lift the fingertips off of the ground. And we're going to begin kicking as we alternate arms and legs. Find a tempo that works for you, but keep the hips and the shoulders stable. As we're here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pause. Bring the hands beneath the shoulders and then float hands and thighs down to the ground. Flex the feet. Bring the toes together, knees wider than the hips, and shift back into child's pose. Nice and slow. Just as a little counter stretch for the back extensions. Take a deep breath in. Roll up through the spine, and we're going to come into a side laying position. So let's quickly pop that there. We're coming into a side laying position with the knees and hips and shoulders stacked. You can rest the head on your upper arm, and then your free hand resting in front of your chest, fingertips down lightly, palms up. So just light support here. And you're going to slide your thighs a little bit up the mat, maybe just below halfway, and pulling the heels into your buttocks. Take a deep breath in as you exhale. Open the thighs. Keep the hips nice and stacked. Slowly close the thighs, working into out of the glutes as you open and close. Big squeeze and close. Beautiful. Let's go for 10, 9, 8. Keep the lower leg grounded. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And for the last one, we're going to lift and squeeze, hold, and then extend that leg. Make sure that the top knee is stacked over the bottom, and then begin to draw tiny circles. The circles are being drawn through the hip joint. Imagine you had no lower leg, and the tip of your paintbrush, which is this beautifully extended leg, is going to be the knee. Draw circles, pause, change direction, keep the hips stable, core engaged. And we're here for 3, 2, pausing, flex the foot, lower down, hover, and then lift, big squeeze outside the thigh. Lower down to hover, lift and squeeze. Going for 5, 4, 3, 2. For the last one, we're going to lift and hold. Beautiful. Point the toe and imagine you're drawing the toes across the floor or the wall behind you. Tap, keep the hips stable, flex the foot, and lift, kick forwards. So you're trying to keep the hips nice and still. Let's work through 5 more. Core engaged. 4, 3, 2. And final one, lift and hold for 5, 4, 3, breathe, 2, 1. Before you move, bend the knee, come back to that climb, then close the thighs. Beautiful. Guess what? We have to do the other side just to balance it out. So let's switch. Side laying position on the opposite side. Engage the core and then open the thighs for climb and close. Working into the outer edge of the glutes. Feel that squeeze. Keep the core nice and tight. And lift for 10. Lower. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Stay connected with the breath. 4. Final one, lift and hold, extend through the leg. Beautiful, tiny circles. I say tiny circles only because I want you to maintain that hip position, shoulder position, and a nice stable core. So if you're able to make the circles bigger and maintain that stability, then give it a try. Change direction. This is my more challenging side. 4, 3, 2, pause, flex the foot, lower to hover, and lift. For 5, hover, lift. For 4, remember, last one, we're going to pause at the top. Beautiful. Point the toe, slide it across the wall, tap behind you, keep the hip stable, flex the foot to kick forwards. Beautiful. Let's go for 4 more. I'm looking down just to check what my hip's doing. But you can use your hand on your waist for a reference. And for the last one, remember we're going to keep the leg hovering for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend the knee, come back to clam, and then close the thighs. So we're going to roll onto our front. Take the hands beneath the shoulders. Feel free to shake out the hips a little bit to stretch it out and just loosen it up. Forehead rests on the ground. So forehead, chin, chest, all in line. Gentle tuck of the chin. Engage the core. Feel a hollowing of the abs. Draw the shoulders away from the ears as we go into a swan or swan prep. Zip up the legs, so you should feel the thighs and the feet together. And take a nice deep breath in. As you exhale, lift chest, chin off of the mat. Coming into this beautiful back bend, working into the lower back. Squeeze the glutes and the back of the thigh. Slowly as you roll down through the chest, you're lifting the leg and thighs off the ground. Exhale, push through the arms, draw the elbows back, lift the chest. See if you can come a little bit higher and slowly roll down. Working into the glutes. Last one. Beautiful. Lower the feet down to the ground. Push the chest and arms or chest and hips up and back into child's pose. Feel free to bring the knees slightly wider than the hips. As we come into this nice counter stretch, rocking the hips from side to side, relaxing the arms and the breath. Take a deep breath in, roll up onto all fours. We're going to take one leg back as we come into pigeon, sweep the other leg underneath us, set the hips down on the mat. Looking for a nice stretch to the outside of the front hip. Reconnect with the breath. Breathe in to the base of the lungs. Feel the sensation of the inward breath as it comes in through the nostrils, brushing past the nasal hairs, sending that cool, dry breath down the back of the throat. And the next time you breathe in, slowly float up out of your pigeon pose as we transition onto the opposite side. Sinking deeper into that connection with your breath. Take one more breath here. Then the next time you breathe in, slowly float up and out of your pigeon pose. We're going to transition back into our child's pose. We're going to take a side bend. So as the forehead floats down to the ground, we're going to walk both hands off one edge of the mat, and let that nice curve happen from the tailbone right through to the crown of the head. And your crown should be pointing towards your fingertips. Anchor both hips down in the ground and then gently lift that outer shoulder away from the ground just to open the chest. And then a nice breath in, keep the hips anchored, walk the hands through center off the other edge of the mat. Open the chest, breathe into the outside edge, expanding through the rib cage. And then take a breath in, bring the hands back to center. Now settle into your child's pose, resting your forearms on the ground, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. I'm gonna take a few moments here. With the next breath in, slowly roll up through the spine, bringing the hands to hips to finish off. Blink the eyes open. If you fell asleep momentarily, that's okay. I think I nodded off. And thank you very much. That was a really sweet, short core workout with a little bit of spice in other areas. Take your time. You don't have to rush to do anything else. You shouldn't have to. This is your time, your space. But until the next time, I'll leave you in your space and I'll see you for tomorrow's challenge. Stay blessed. Peace.